Greetings, one and all. I've decided to use, see what I've got set up here, so I can use different mics, really. The SV33's up there. Give it a rest. Earthworks Ethos is on this stand, and I've got this adapter thing here, so I can put regular mics in. May as well use different ones, I'm thinking, why not? So this is, I quite enjoyed it. The Beyerdynamic V90R ribbon microphone. Got to watch the pops. Ribbon microphone there. And what I'm reviewing here is something I've forgotten what it's called. Anyway, it's in the, it's here. It's a pop filter for the SM57. Now you'll remember, we might, that the SM57 and the SM58 have the same capsule, as does the SM7B, as do many other, so I'm told, Shure mics. They tweak things, same capsule, different body, some with transformers, some without. Makes financial sense, I guess. And use the same capsule a lot for as many different things and a different body and what have you. So this is the A2WS windscreen. Let me tell you what it says. Slip the windscreen over the microphone until the inside of the screen barely makes contact. This is interesting. It then says move the windscreen 3 to 6 millimeters, an eighth to quarter of an inch away from the microphone top. Tighten the set screw securely to fasten the windscreen. Got a note here, important. Note that the set screw connects to the bushing rather than to the microphone body. I've set the screw on this one. I'm going to take it off again. So here it is. Don't know if you saw in the unboxing. You've got this. You've got this. Nicely made. I showed you how deep it is. Goes to about there, so not that thick. And then you've got this collar. And it says note, the set screw connects to the bushing rather than to microphone body. So presumably they mean it connects to this rather than having it orientated so it goes through there. Okay. And that's it. Now, messing around with it, some things I noticed is that you can have it at different places. It can fit down here if you want, because I was concerned about not being able to get close enough to the diaphragm because of the bass and proximity, because it sits quite high, as you can see. So you're quite a long way from the diaphragm. One of the things people said about the SM58 compared to the SM57, same capsule, remember, inside, same thing, is that really the difference is this, and that with the SM57 you could get closer to the actual diaphragm, as you can see. Putting this on, you lose perhaps that advantage unless you sit it lower, which is not what they recommend. But anyway, I'm going to go through now, fiddle about, and let you hear what it does. I'm not going to worry with the set screw if you don't mind. You said if you can get it on to start with. So first of all, here's the SM57 with just as it is. Here's the SM57 just as it is. And I'm just going to go back so you can hear what the ribbon mic sounds like compared to this. This is the Beyerdynamic V90R. This is the Beyerdynamic V90R. This is not the Beyerdynamic V90R. This is not the Beyerdynamic V90R. Something to say on that in another video, I think. Okay. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. You can hear, yeah, that's going to be an issue. Peter Piper picked a peck of, who do you think you're fooling? Who do you think you're fooling? Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Who do you think you're fooling? Let's just immediately slide it on. Excuse the noise. Putting it pretty much where they say. Peter Piper picked a peck of, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Who do you think you're fooling? Peter Piper picked a peck. I'm going to be as clumsy as I possibly can be. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Who do you think you're fooling? Who do you think you're fooling? Who do you think you're fooling? So I would say, very effective. Okay. What if I now, to see how close I can get for the proximity? Something there. Of course, I can hear more. Is this stopping some of that? Seems to be, but it could be because I'm further away. So what I'm going to do now, remove the collar, so I'm just going to hold things. You can fit it there. Well, actually, let me just show you. If you want to put the collar on first, once you're over that broad part, no problems. The collar's on there, and now I can go right the way down. A little bit loose. So if you did want to have it down here, on the inside of the collar, you'd probably need to put some gaffer tape if you decided that that's quite handsome, I think. If that's how it's going to be for you, then you could put some gaffer tape on the inside of the collar just so it's snug. Now you can get close to it. But why do they say keep it there? Let's see. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Who do you think you're fooling? Who do you think you're fooling? Who do you think you're fooling? Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Who do you think you're fooling? Let me move it up. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Who do you think you're fooling? Who do you think you're fooling? Is that enough? I'll tell you what I hear, and you tell me what you hear. Well, you won't be able to tell me, but you know. The rejection of the pops and the wind is better when it's further away. Who do you think you're fooling? Peter Piper picked a peck. Who do you think you're fooling? Peter Piper picked a peck. Who do you think you're fooling? That's extreme. Who do you think you're fooling? Peter Piper picked a peck. Who do you think you're fooling? Peter Piper picked a peck. Who do you think you're fooling? It's still not bad like that. So if you wanted it close so you could get it sounds a bit more distant, doesn't it? Of course it is. So I don't think it's a slouch when it's quite close. So far, so good. Did I mention that it's time I got it, it's £20. Oops. £20. It's a lot, isn't it? But I do like it. I wish Biodynamic on their M88. I like the M88, as you may know. I wish they'd do something more attractive than what they've got. Earthworks, the SR314, some people do find it an issue with the pops. Come on. Go to Italy or something. And get someone to design something that looks almost like you'd want to have it even if you didn't really need it. Huh? Maybe. Now, £20 then. Well, okay. What about this? I think you can get about 100 of them for 20 quid, something like that. Okay. Of course, you need to get one that fits properly. You can get smaller ones. So I'm holding it a little way off. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Who do you think you're fooling? Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Who do you think you're fooling? Pretty good, isn't it? Peter Piper, going to be as clumsy as I can be. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Who do you think you're fooling? Pretty good. Right the way on. Touching the top of the grill. So we can get that. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Who do you think you're fooling? Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Who do you think you're fooling? Quickly, I'm going to do this back and forth between this one and this one. May as well. You can always stop watching. And with nothing in between, just to finish off so you get to hear if there's any difference, really. I'll do the video very, very quickly when I edit it. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Who do you think you're fooling? Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Who do you think you're fooling? Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Who do you think you're fooling? Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Who do you think you're fooling? Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Who do you think you're fooling? So far with that, I think this one was better right up because it's thicker. But this is no slouch. I mean, I was being really clumsy. Now I'm going to try them both at roughly the recommended distance. First of all, the cheapo. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Who do you think you're fooling? Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Who do you think you're fooling? Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Who do you think you're fooling? Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Who do you think you're fooling? Back on the V90R. So, for what it's worth, it seems to work to me. Compared to this one, okay, this one works as well. This one, to me, I can see they're a different material. This one's finer. This one, to me, I could be wrong, sounded a little bit more open, just a little bit. Maybe not quite as good when it's right up against the grill, but good enough. Surely good enough for me. What would I say then? It obviously works. It's nicely made. It's nice to have all this. Shure seem to be good at that. They seem to take a bit of pride in their stuff. It's expensive, but if you need it, and it looks handsome. So I'd say, yeah, if you just very occasionally need it, get a smaller one of these or one that's tighter that fits. Practically speaking, in terms of how it works, it works. If you want something a little bit nicer that also works, then, and you can afford it, I'd say it hurts a bit, doesn't it? But maybe spend the 20 quid, as I say, and then it works, as they say, it seems to me, there. But it also works if you need that little bit of bass. Doesn't work quite as well, but it certainly works, as far as I'm concerned, well enough when it's all the way down there. Or you've got a few options, of course. You could take it just a little. You could mess around. Take it just a little off the top. Whatever. In fact, the only reason I'd do that, probably because it works well like that, is that maybe I think it looks a bit better, a little bit longer. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, that's that. I'll see you next time.